There it is. I think we are on now. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm always extra happy when I don't have to just ramble by myself. I have a guest with me. And today I have a wonderful guest. We have a wonderful topic to talk about. It is going to be a very relevant one for anybody who is out in the diaspora, who it may not even be only in the United States where we are, it could be in England. The issues tend to be the same. So I have with me here Miss IGXTELLE MBAH ACHA, and you're going to have to tell me what your new last name is.
Dobgima.
Okay then. I try to pride myself on being good with Cameroon names and where they come from. Would that be Bali?
You got that right. Spot on. Yes.
Pat on the back, pat on the back.
Spot
Yes.
on.
There you go. So I will have you introduce yourself because I think you do it far better than I could. And it's always interesting for me to hear how somebody introduces themselves. It gives me an idea what they think, how they see themselves. So go ahead and do that for us, please. Who is our audience listening to?
Yeah, sure. So every time I have to introduce myself, I always start thinking, what hat do I put first? Because I wear too many hats and it's always a very challenging, question, but I'll just keep it very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. My name is IGXTELLE MBAH ACHA. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I'm an attorney. I'm a founder. I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Awesome.
So I have a heart for people and bringing people together.
Mm-hmm.
And this has driven me throughout my life in everything that I do. So I think in a short form,
in a nutshell,
yes, IGXTELLE is a lawyer from Cameroon based in the US who is determined to change one life at a time.
Awesome. That's a life with a purpose right there, not just somebody just floating around. You said you are an attorney, a lawyer. Where did you do that training?
Sure. So my first legal education began in UB.
Mm-hmm.
So I did an LLB in UB and then went to South Korea where I completed my doctorate, my Juris Doctor, and then came to the US and sat for the New York bar. So I'm licensed to practice law in New York.
Wow. Did I hear you say South Korea?
Yes, ma'am. South Korea.
How did that happen? Everybody's looking. Britain, United States, France. So how did that happen? Just curious.
I would say it's the hand of God, and you would hear me say this throughout my discussion with you. But practically, my mom was a part of a Christian lawyers association called Advocates International.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she still is. She is a part of Advocates International. Mm-hmm. And a group of Christian lawyers from Advocates International had started a Christian law school in South Korea. Mm-hmm. So through that, connection, we got to know about this Christian school that my brother, went first. And once I completed my law education in Boya, I then, joined my brother, but I was in the law school. My brother was not in the law school. And so that's how it happened. That's the short story. The long story is, I applied, I got the full scholarship to get a JD. Now, those who have a JD know that it comes with huge student loans, but by the grace of God, I was able to get mine without student loans. So that's how I found myself
in South Korea. You see, because this kind of ties in with what we're doing, because the listeners or the viewers, whichever form they end up viewing or listening to this program, are going to find out that it's going to be much less about the law side of you than it is about the fact that you have come on out here to the United States, and that you are, like many other people out there, balancing being a mother, being a wife, and being a career person, and for you, an entrepreneur as well. Right. And so, coming from Cameroon, same as me right here, going out to Korea and then coming out here and having to do wear all of these hats, like you mentioned, and function properly, successfully is not an easy thing.
Right.
So to full disclosure, the real reason why I have you here is to talk about something called um, the Immigrant Mom that I noticed that you started on Facebook. I
Right.
noticed it out there. I saw that invitation and jumped on it real quick because I qualify as an immigrant mom, even though
Right.
I've been in this country, since 1997.
Wow.
And I saw that and I said to myself, I wish there had been something like that when I first got here too.
Right.
It may have helped a whole lot. So I'm going to just go ahead and let you tell me, what is it? What is the Immigrant Mom?
Sure. So the Immigrant Mom is an organization that has a mission to
Mhm.
equip, to empower, to educate the mother who is raising children in a culture that she did not grow up in.
Right.
The Immigrant Mom started because I became a mom. I
Mhm.
was an immigrant woman or
Right.
lady for, I'd say, 8 years,
Mhm.
even more, because I haven't even counted the time that I was in South Korea. So I would say I was an immigrant mom if I add the 3 years I was in Korea for 11 years.
Mhm.
And then 11 years after, I have a kid, and it introduces me to a whole new level of challenges. And
Right.
I'm thinking, first and foremost, I come back with my little baby to a house that's empty. What I had noticed back in Cameroon is when a mom is coming home, there's usually a celebration. There's usually people who are waiting to receive her. It is joyous. It's like, but I walk into my own apartment, just me and my husband and my little cousin who was with me. No celebration. There is no breather for me. I have to get into the whole routine of making sure my baby's fed, my baby sleeps, which I had no idea what to do.
Right.
I started thinking to myself, how many of my friends are in this same part of,
Situation. Yes.
right? How many of my friends are having kids like this with a parent that is so many miles away, or maybe without even a parent?
Mhm.
But we need to be able to come together because there's so much about parenting that is daunting. Talk less of
Yes.
parenting in a strange land. I
Mhm.
started thinking about what I didn't know. It's
Mhm.
not just about coming home to an empty house. I
Mhm.
didn't know about the American educational system because I didn't go to school here.
Right.
In my intro, I came here as an adult. I came here and I went directly into the workforce. So,
Yes.
how do I help my kids? And
Right.
so that's how the Immigrant Mom started. To be honest with you, I was a little taken aback that there has been no organization like the Immigrant Mom, despite the years of immigration into
Right.
this country.
Right.
So, it started off as a conference and
Uh-huh.
then ended up being this community of women supporting each other
Yes,
on this.
that was awesome. Well, that was a brilliant idea. And I noticed that people come and ask questions. So sometimes you put out a question there, like a kind of challenge. How are you handling this? How you do so that that community helps to be a support system for
Right,
somebody else who already just the fact that you know that somebody else is going through the same thing already just calms you down. It's not
right,
the craziest. You see, for me, when I heard this, I'm like, oh, poor thing, because at least I had both my babies, both my children in Cameroon before I came here. Even though they were just 2 and 4 years old when they came here, but at least what they're talking about, where you come home and there is pepper soup galore. This one has brought pounded yam and so and so. Food flasks, you know what we call food
yeah,
flasks, just lined up there. Sometimes you even have to beg to carry your own baby. Can I just have?
yeah,
Because if not, they
yeah,
carry the baby, sing all the CWF songs, and dance
yeah,
for that child. They only
right,
give the baby to you to breastfeed the baby and then take the baby away, wash them, do. So all that thing about whether the navel has fallen off and blah blah blah, you don't really get to do. The entire CWF is at your house doing all of those things
right,
and
right,
stuff. So I got here and I remember everybody was expecting, oh, there's going to be a third baby. And I looked at what is going on here. I'm like, no, thank you. No thanks. I don't,
right,
yeah, because I remember the first time some younger sister of mine in town here had a baby. So I got something to go visit and I just show up there and I'm ringing the bell and Nobody's coming. And so I said, let me call. She says, hey, I'm out. I'm like, you're out how? This little baby that you just had, you're out. How can you be out? She says, I'll not be out how a grocer's going to get to my house. So that little tiny thing has had to go with you to the grocery store. And then I've seen them, you see them there in that cool section of the grocery store there where there's all that stuff, and the little tiny thing.
Right.
Little tiny, they have no choice because they don't
Right.
have, it's not like back home where you have either paid help in your house, living paid help in your house, or you just have family. So it must really, really, really be tough. Because even at 2 years old and 4 years old, it was not easy for me.
Right.
But then imagine people who may not even have been here. How long had you been here for before the baby came? How long had you been here for before the baby?
In America, about 8 years.
About 8 years.
Yes, 8 years. Yeah.
And you can imagine those who come, some of them pregnant already, or some a year. They came out here because they got married.
Right.
So there's just like 1 year of trying to adjust. There's the cultural shock to start with. And then that 1 year of trying to adjust, and bam, there's a baby too in the whole in the mix. What kind of advice do you give those kinds of moms, for example? Like they're not only new moms, they just came to the country too. Is there anything?
Yeah, primarily I say find the community, because everybody's situation is unique. Right? But if you find that community, and the hope is the immigrant mom will be able to grow into a real support system, not just one that we meet on Facebook. We're so much on Facebook because just at the time when we were about to pick up and run, the pandemic happened.
Okay.
And so a lot of the things that we were supposed to do in person, we couldn't do because of the pandemic. But in the long run, we should be able to have a resource person in every state at the list, where if a new mom comes into Chicago or Illinois today, there is a resource person that she could call who could rally some other immigrant mothers who could be of support to her. Like the real things that we need. Like if a mom is in Texas and needs to go on a date night, but she cannot afford a nanny, we should have a network or a roster of people that say, I'm available.
Right.
I could come and watch your kids so you can have some time, away. But to answer your question directly, I'd say find a community. Everyone goes through things differently. There's such a thing as postpartum depression, which a lot of people don't know about, because like you said, when you go home and there's pepper soup and there's nobody to carry your baby, you have less worries.
Right.
But when you're by yourself, and for those who are married, you're still trying to be a wife because the husband has to eat, but you have a little baby. I dealt with postpartum depression, and it wasn't a pretty feeling for me. I kept looking at my kids and feeling so sorry, like I'm gonna die.
Yeah. And you see what you're saying there, many people don't even admit, don't want to admit that it's even exists, that is really there. You see, most books say, oh, you have this maternal thing. The baby comes and you just, about the thing. And then, so because of that picture that has been painted, you don't want to come and say, today I'm not feeling this mother thing. I'm really looking at this baby here and I'm mad. I'm upset that I even have this baby that's making me, they're crying again. Oh my goodness, I've spent how many sleepless nights. You don't want to say that you're going through that, because like, what kind of mother is that?
Exactly.
So you don't even want to say it's there. So we don't, and then as you know, there is no problem that you can solve or address if you don't even admit it exists.
Right.
And that somebody even sees that it's there, or somebody just tells you, snap out of it, come on.
Right. Right.
And they're supposed to be, go on.
Yes, I was going to say that. And that's the reason why we have a community to demystify a lot of the things that we have grown up from our various countries that say you have to always be strong.
Right.
Strength is not the absence of tears. Yes. Strength is also in your vulnerability, your ability to say that I feel a certain way. And the hope is that the immigrant mom community will be that place where people could be, vulnerable. Without fear of judgment, without fear that a person would think that because you feel a certain way, you are not good, or yeah, you're weak, or you're not a good mom. Right? So that's our goal, and it starts with, apologies for that. One
No
second.
problem.
Let me take care of that.
Yes, go right ahead.
And we get some of these notifications when they call it, I forgot, when the child is being kidnapped or something. So we get those.
So that like some kind of Amber Alerts kind of things.
Amber Alert, yes.
Yes.
That's Amber Alert.
Did
So
you check that it's everything's okay?
Yes, everything is good, hopefully.
Okay. So
back to what I was saying, that the hope is that we would have a community where people could be, vulnerable, and it starts with, with me. It starts with the leadership, with me saying, this is my story. There's nothing about my experience that makes me ashamed. It's anything, it empowers me to empower other people.
Correct. That is something which and just knowing that there's the strength in knowing that there is a community of people going through that the experiences are similar. They may not be the exact same ones, but they are similar. Right. And I can just imagine those going through this same thing without the support of a husband or a spouse or somebody else. So you're actually doing that really on your own. But then I also thought about the fact that's the natural way I looked at it. And I also thought about the fact that if you do have a spouse though, and they're not supportive or understanding, might that be even worse than if you did not have one? Right. What's your take on that?
Right. Absolutely. That's the honest truth. There are people in the community that share on that, who are maybe single parents, or the story before they became a single parent. Right. And this is primarily why there is the Immigrant Mom Show, which, it's a platform where immigrant mothers share about their life experiences. The way that we highlight it is to say, you're a brave woman, and your life story is one of bravery, including how you survived the divorce, how you're a single mom, how you got your degree, how you're raising your children. All of that are stories of bravery that someone can learn from. For those who have spouses that are not supportive, they can learn from others who found a way to cope, who found a way to sustain their sanity. And by seeing someone else, because I may not wear those shoes, so if I'm advising you on that, it's just head knowledge. You really want to hear from somebody who is walking in those shoes, yes, or who has walked in those shoes. And so, that's really the open invitation that I would give, even on a platform like this, that if you're an immigrant mom with a story, with something you have survived, with something you are thriving in, with something you've been through, please come out and share your story, because there's power in your story. Someone else is going through what you have been through and just needs to know that they're going to make it just like you did.
Right. As you're talking like that, it just occurred to me, I do not know whether any of your spouses, the men, would be willing to do something similar, maybe not an ongoing permanent thing, because I know that the men don't necessarily like African men. I'll say that even if somebody's going to throw stones, would not necessarily care to do an ongoing thing like that, but some intermittent thing where those who have kind of understood that they can be a support system may want to talk to their peers about things, because there is a clear mind shift that needs to be done.
Oh, yes.
If you were born and raised in Cameroon or somewhere in Africa and you come out here,
the
roles that men are expected to play there in Cameroon, somewhere in Africa, are definitely not the same kind of roles, or to that extent, when you come out here.
Right.
Okay, here we don't have Moya Market or Newtown Market where everybody's there screaming, buy one, get the veneme trumpy, and doing selling, that kind of a thing. The equivalent here though is the grocery store. Okay, now the man that's in Cameroon there hasn't gone to buy any oranges or any okra, anything in the market there.
Yeah.
But here, to get groceries, to get the stuff that needs to be, food that needs to go in the fridge, you need to go to the grocery store. And there's some who are not keen on going. Because it's the same thing about why would you go market? Whereas coming out here is different, because there most of the time the woman could go to the market with the chauffeur sometimes, or they send the house help to go get the stuff. And then here now there's just two of you in that house. And then there's one of you has that baby and all of that stuff and their job. So there needs to be that mind shift. Even the changing of diapers. I don't know how many men I saw in Cameroon changing any diaper.
Right.
Because there's mother to do it, and then there's nanny to do it, or grandma or somebody to do that. So I do not know whether anybody's floating the idea.
Yes, for sure we are. And like you said, it's not going to be an immigrant dad organization or immigrant dad, movement. But we have a roundtable discussion, which we had our first panelist or first, speakers last week, Saturday. And right now the invitation is open for dads who are parenting differently now that they are immigrants, that can share some of those things with other male counterparts who may be wondering about this whole roles play now that we are abroad. There is that, there is parenting, there is also, the issue of discipline when it comes to, as a man, and what is the appropriate way to be involved in your child's life, and how different that is in, this
society
diaspora that we are in.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's different. Like here, they say you could actually, in Cameroon, you could actually entrust your child to the coach, whoever is the football. You say you just drop them. See, I don't drop them, so you are the place. Then they play, and everything. You come pick them up. Here, parents are sitting there in the bleachers, cheering those sons on. You're taking the daughters too to ballet classes and things like that. And that is also a shift, because it's done differently. Academics to start with, and then extracurricular activities, all different. I heard you make the statement there. I trained as a translator interpreter in UB as well, in ASTI, in UB. It didn't take me too long when I got here to say, I don't think so. I don't think I can be hopping on planes to go do cover conferences. My husband, because he works in the United Nations, works out of the country most of the time. We can't both be doing that and expect these kids to be raised the way we would want them to be raised. So that's how I just did the glide into teaching, some of which I'd already done in Cameroon. The idea being, like you said, neither one of us had gone to school here. We don't know quite what the curriculum is supposed to be. There's certain things which they were doing when the homework that they brought back home, little simple things that I'm going, I don't know that I can help with this. First of all, even just the metric system that we were used to, and you come and see the inches and the ounces, and I'm like, there's so many fluid ounces, and I'm going, I don't know. What a measuring cup, one that I could use to actually cook, and one that was not to be done, no flour should go in that thing. It's just there for me to read the thing and for the math problems.
Wow.
Those kinds of things. Trying to adjust even some of the cultural differences they're talking about. I remember the first Halloween. Okay. So costume, where am I going to get this kind of, those kinds of things, Halloween are we talking about in Cameroon? What Halloween? We didn't have things like that. And then you come here and there's certain things which are just part of what gets to happen here. So you know how the kid's going to go back to school. They're going to say, how did it go? And then your child did not do any trick-or-treating. So there's certain things. Take even Disney World, which people think of as a luxury. But you see, you don't want your child to be the one that doesn't have this experience, that cannot talk. And many of our immigrant moms or parents don't understand that. Like the fact that you don't think much of it, if it's part of a certain kind of culture and stuff, not exposing your child to that kind of a thing limits them. Limits them. And I cannot say enough about it. I need to come to one of those platforms and just talk about it, maybe just the education part of things, to help the kid adjust. They come, they're speaking with an accent. Oh, yes. That is the trigger for bullying right there.
I think we should have you as our next guest on our next show. You know why? Because I always say that there's what you don't know. And there's what you don't know that you don't know.
Yes.
And that's the scary part. Yes. What you don't know that you don't know. Because if you don't know that you don't know, you cannot make an effort to know.
Exactly.
So we need somebody who can be able to say, look, these are the stages
Yeah.
of growth and development for a child in America. When they're
Exactly.
2 to 4,
Mm-hmm.
make sure they have an experience with Easter egg hunting.
Right.
We don't come from a background where we hunted for eggs during Easter. I still cannot understand what the correlation is. But for the
You don't want
sake
to
of
know.
for the sake of the child's experience, it's a good thing to get out of your comfort zone as a parent, as a mom, to
Oh,
make this
trust me.
available for your kid.
Bingo. You got it. You see, even I don't even know where to say. I will just come to that show and try to explain a few things. No, and nobody is saying buy into that, believe in it, and change who you really are. There's knowledge is something that you have. The fact
Yeah.
that I know about atheism doesn't mean I'm going to abandon God now and stop being. I need to know that there's people out there who are atheists who don't believe in anything.
Right.
You know, in a God. So I need. It's not a matter of because some people think, hey, bad luck. I don't. No, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's trying to actually get you to change your views, change everything and everything. It's something to be aware of, to just
Right.
know that this is how it works. You see, like one of the main things that I got to learn pretty fast, not even when the kids were that small, when I got, I was teaching in a certain high school, actually moved from that high school to the one my own kids were going to be going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the counselors, to the teachers and said, I did not go to school here. These kids may slip through the cracks because I'm not sure of what it is to do. And that's the thing about being open.
Right.
To say, here I am, ignoramus. When it comes to this, I don't quite get it. Don't let me know. How
Right.
clearly are they supposed to be applied? Because you have young children.
Yes.
It's a different ball game when they get older.
Right.
When do they start taking the SATs? Some people think, bam, when you're already in the 12th grade, getting ready to go to college, take it like you take the A levels, GCE. Oh no, you have to start taking it sooner.
Right.
So your score can improve. Those are things I have found so many immigrant parents are not aware of. I have to maybe meet with them and talk with them and explain. Even the basic concept of your academics are really, really important. You need to have a good GPA, but extracurricular activities are also important.
Yeah.
We're looking for those also in the child's profile, in class resume, to see that they're a good, a well-rounded student.
Right.
How to get loans for college, how to do all of those things that you just may not know.
Right.
Because you just don't know, and it's not your fault. You just didn't go here, you just didn't know. And you're sitting there with a bright kid that should possibly go to a really good school. And then they are sitting in a community college. Not that there's anything wrong with the community college, but if they could do, we all know once you come out of college, where you went to school also matters. Sometimes it's part of what puts you a little bit ahead. And those are things that some of those moms don't know. Right. And some, like the single ones, are working so hard.
Yes.
Shift after shift after shift. And because back home, you tend to, children kind of, the community helps much more to raise them.
Right.
You don't realize and you may not notice and may not see what is changing in the child.
Right.
Because you're not there to see.
Right.
And sometimes we teachers are supposed to maybe call home and say something. Sometimes we are overwhelmed too. And by the time you're busy saying something, the kids really got the wrong company and all of that. But there I am already doing the show. I'm passionate about it because
it's how captivated I am.
Right.
Auntie EGBE, we need you maybe next Thursday. Hopefully your schedule will permit, because it's so important. Like what you don't know that you don't know is the most frightful part about this immigrant mom journey that we're on.
It is.
And we will keep beating this drum for as long as we need, because it's someone who probably did not know would catch one thing, another person would catch another thing,
and then now that they are important, they know they'll tell somebody else.
Right.
They'll tell somebody else.
Right.
You see, we can't walk around with our eyes blindfolded, you know. And then now you're noticing the number of horror stories happening. It used to be when I was here, they're like, I know that's not the best of, it's a kind of, maybe people who consider it a pejorative term, that kata pikin. that Oyibo Pikin, you do, whoa, look at what's going on in that community.
Right.
No, it's not Akata and Oyibo Pikin. It's our own children
Right.
in the news.
Right.
Shooting their parents, taking their own lives,
Right.
and going through issues which we need to know that what we are doing, we're doing it. We need to tweak things here and there.
Right.
We need to just be
Right.
more aware, and the more aware we are, the better it will be for all of us.
Honestly.
And doing that thing you're doing, that immigrant mom, and having this community is an important thing. It's a really good thing. I want to applaud you for it a lot. And then, of course, tell our listeners, our viewers, how do you join? How do you join? How do you become a member? How do you become part of it so you can learn and share your own experiences?
Sure. So we have the page on Facebook called, actually, we have the page on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. It's the same handle everywhere, The Immigrant Mom.
Okay.
The one on Facebook is, where we have a lot of our activities. And so go ahead and like the page. So every time we come live, you will get a notification that we're live. And we come live twice a month. So every other Thursday, we have a guest on there. Now, there is the community that is separate from the Facebook page. So the page is for everybody, anybody. You don't have to be a mother. You don't have to be a woman, anybody.
Right.
The community is called Brave Woman, the Immigrant Mom.
Okay.
That is only for women.
Okay.
You don't have to be a mom.
Okay.
But you could be aspiring to be one, or you're a nurturer or a caretaker.
Right.
You can be a part of us.
Right.
On the community.
So just a second. So, like, you see how some people have their mothers here who help them look after the children. So they too could qualify to join.
Yes. Any woman is invited. In fact, we're calling all our moms who brought their kids when they were younger, or who have been immigrant moms for much longer. Come in and please take over, because there are young women on there who have no clue. Some have a clue. Some are just like, like the blind leading the blind.
Right.
But we need the mothers there who have been through this path, made their own mistakes, and are willing to make sure no one else makes the mistakes that they made, and teach. The American woman, even the Black American woman, the Caucasian woman may not be able to understand that I don't know what to do, because they don't walk in these shoes. It is going to take an immigrant mom to help an immigrant mom. And that's why we're a community.
That's right. And you see, and even about certain things in the school system, because I know there are different kinds of school systems, but they pretty much work the same way. You're getting there and they ask a simple question as, what is this child's first language? And you are honestly saying it is Lamso, it is Kenyan, and this and so, because that's what you really do speak at home, maybe.
Okay.
But it is being viewed totally differently by the school system that now says that they are English deficient.
Right. And
they go put you there in this class for people, I don't want to say, that's going to just dumb your child down. Right. So, but the person was answering the question honestly, though.
Yes.
Because that is what they speak at home, but they don't understand. When you say that, they don't understand. You are considered like maybe somebody who came in from China and does not really know how to speak English. Whereas a child is fluent in English, speaks better English. No offense to anybody than his peers there. And you go and fill out that form that says so and so thing, and bam, they're put in this little category. And things can really spiral from there when they are boxed. That little box. These are little things that people don't know. And sometimes those of us who are in the school system, try to advocate for children like that, to explain what it really means when they, that it's not quite what you think, because the concept is different.
Right.
And here the Caucasian mind doesn't grasp that, they're just not used to it. And you too, on the reverse, immigrant mom, don't get what they're really saying there, what it entails, what the repercussions are, if that's what you're going to actually do. And it's something, it can be tricky, but people have navigated. That's what you're doing. That's why I like what you're doing. People have been able to navigate through the thing and come out successfully.
Right.
So you can now turn around and tell people what works, what doesn't work, from personal experience, the probably well-adjusted children that you finally done to show for it, or maybe not so, to see,
Right.
it's how I didn't see this coming. This is what happened to me.
Right.
And that advocacy, I've noticed, it comes almost naturally to our home country here, or our host country here, not so much for us wanting to tell our stories.
Yes. Yeah.
We tend to be, if the story is a brilliant one that is very, very successful, we are like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And sometimes not wanting to share the mistakes because of embarrassment,
Right.
or shame. You see, like you have people who have Alcoholics Anonymous, they're very say, hey, I am a recovering addict.
Right.
Nobody's wanting to say that you're an addict to be in the first place, talk less of recovery.
Right. Right.
Whereas we know the people there in our communities who are exactly that, but nobody's wanting to say that. So I do not know. I'm hoping the time will come when you realize. I keep saying there's a thing like wasting your suffer. You've gone through the thing already. One way to heal, one way to not make it be totally a disaster is if you can go ahead and help somebody else to not go down the same path.
Right.
I don't know whether you have in the community, in the platform that you've got, whether there are any more prevalent issues than others. What do you hear most of? What the women say is their biggest challenge? Is there something that stands out the most?
So far, what I've noticed that people struggle the most with is childcare. Not having childcare and going after their dream. Again, one of the things that we're going to have to come face to face in this new culture is the fact that it's okay as a parent for you guys you and your partner, you and your husband, to decide on who needs to either take a back seat in terms of their career plans for the sake of the children. We see that a lot in a lot of homes, non-immigrant homes. The mom says, I took 5 years out of work so I could be with my kids. And we're finally getting to that point where we're having to say a stay-at-home mom is not a lazy woman, like the way we thought of it coming from our culture. So that's like the primary thing that we see, that childcare, and also not just from a parenting standpoint, but also for immigrant mothers' own self-development, their ability to use their voices in the workplace, for those that are working, to own their accent, to, be assertive, because again, you can only teach your children what you are, because children would watch you, more than they'll listen to you.
Right. That's for sure.
Right. So it's also about, women struggling with their career, struggling with finding, a footing in this new country. I've seen, a little bit of that. And then here and there, questions about, marriage, questions about mental health, questions about, things that go on in the community. Since we're still young, a lot of people are yet to open up, but it's a gradual process of building that trust, of them seeing, the leadership opening up. So we make it a point. It's not just because we want to tell our stories. We're intentionally opening up so that the women can feel comfortable to open up about, the things that they're going through, and, get the support that they need.
And then in which case you're going to have to work on stigma and on shaming,
right,
and on gossip.
Yes.
You see, so that's the inhibition right there.
Yes.
Because I go talk, then now they will carry my name.
Yes.
Go, and so people have to. There's so many things that we don't benefit from, because that's why people are shy to go and say, or reticent, or not, or hesitant. They're like, I'll go say that, then soon I'll hear, and then now my in-laws will be saying that again. I read a complaint about my husband over there, and so that's something which we have to work on ourselves and stop treating things like that, and in that kind of way where somebody can feel confident.
Yes.
That I'll come. People would not. There will be no shame. Will not be laughing at me and that kind of a thing, and so that they can go and feel free to
Right.
open up, like you're saying, and
Right.
share. And
Right.
we're listing the issues there. We also have the added one. We talked about accent and stuff. We have the added one because we're Black. There's been the issues. There's the whole George Floyd thing. Where do we fit?
Right.
Sometimes you have some African American resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't, you kind of not know exactly where do I fit in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them telling you that, oh, you are better off, you're treated better than, yeah, or the idea of you've come and taken our jobs thing there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you are there trying to also deal with the fact. It can be quite tricky, and sometimes you're
Yes.
in a place or in an office where you are pretty much. When I started working at a certain high school when I first came to this town, I was the only African that they had ever seen there. So I was sitting there, and the stress of having to, um, they're like, I'm the only one that they've ever seen. Whatever I do and not do right, they would be then qualified to say, Africans are like this. They
Mm.
are always late. But,
Right.
I was out of this house and on that thing, and then 6:15, I'm already sitting there. I don't want to get to be there late because they're going to look at it this way and make
Right.
their impressions and draw their conclusions and judgments based on. So you have that pressure of trying to carry an entire continent on your head.
Yeah.
And then, like
Right.
I said, all the teasing, watching out for those children of yours. They
Yeah.
go out there and they get a lot. And that's how I ended up in the teaching thing, I tell you honestly. So we're getting back home at the same time, and I'm looking at your face and going, what happened? I
Yes.
can tell something didn't go right in school. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I'm like, sit down here. What exactly went on? And then they get to tell you, and then you figure it out with the teacher and that kind of a thing. But if you are doing shift after shift after shift, and you have not laid your eyes on that child for almost a week, sometimes by the time you find out that there's something the matter, it's
Yes.
gone. It's taken a turn that you will not have. You may have been able to arrest it and nip it in the bud if you had been there. So I heard what you said about people saying one person needs to kind of be there, and take a decision about, okay, for the time being, for some time, and that of course needs an understanding and supportive partner who
Right.
sees the point and chooses maybe to be uh, the stay-at-home dad. We're seeing it more and more now.
Yeah.
And the pandemic has taught us that you can actually work from home
Yeah.
for some,
Absolutely.
for some jobs and some careers. Maybe not the entire time permanently, but there are times when you can actually have the flexibility to work from home, which means that
Right.
you can afford to have the child be there and be nurtured by their own biological parent, as opposed to having to take them as early as breathing from the cradle to a place for them to watch them. They're coming back with the infections. They're coming back sometimes with language you would not use.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You
Right.
hear a child just throw out this little bomb right there in Sunday school, and you're going, "Oh my goodness, what is this?"
Which
And we all are
actually,
looking at the kid and going, "Oh wow." And the parent is saying, really, trust me, I didn't teach them that. And they really did not teach them that, but they picked it up in the wherever it is that you drop
yeah.
them off.
Right. Right.
So it is a little tricky thing, and I cannot tell you how much I heard that and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I wish there had been that, some place like that, some platform like
Yes.
that. When I got in, I'm sure every immigrant mom would have the same wish that there had
Right.
been something like that to go and where you may be almost saying, I cannot wait for Thursday to go say,
Yes.
to go say, I noticed this. What's up with that? That's what you can say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I know how that works, and be not just sympathetic, empathetic, because they have gone through it themselves, and they can tell
Right.
you it's going to get better. It's going to get better. So, anything else you want to add about the thing? Because I really just wanted to. I wanted you here so I can applaud the idea and let people know
Oh,
that it
thank you
is
so much.
there and that it's available for them. You need a support system in this country.
Yeah.
You do. You cannot walk it alone. You do.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for having me on here, and just us having this discussion, I'm telling you, the light bulbs in my head are just coming on the different things and directions that we need to go. You know, the aspect of the stigma is the first thing. And we changed our rules of our group to say, if you're not going to be active, we're going to take you out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we're going to start doing, because they're silent members. And we're saying, if you're silent and you're not sharing your story, you're most likely to take someone else's story to where they don't want it to go.
Because you don't have any stake. You're not putting.
Right.
Yep, I see where I
Yes.
understand perfectly what you're
Yes.
saying there. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're putting it out. Anybody who is not active, who has never been active, commented, or just found themselves because they got invited,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to take you out. When you're ready to be a part of giving and receiving, to build for yourself and your family, your children, then you can come back. So we're really strict moving forward on participation in the group. Now, not everybody has to be in the group. Not every woman has to be in the group. If you want to be on the page and just watch the lives, that's up to you. But
Mm-hmm.
we want a group of women who can be, you know, vulnerable and open to each other, because that's the only way that we're going to learn. One other thing that I need to point out here is the preservation of culture.
Right.
That's something that a lot of moms are worried about. I don't know my native language, and for good or bad reason, I just don't know it, and so I can't teach my kids. And there's the fear of that aspect of my culture may be lost
Dying off.
forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because of situations, a lot of people cannot send their kids back home
Right.
for vacation as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens to our culture? Are these children just going to be, you know, engulfed in this American individualistic society that does not really promote community like where we come from?
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, we started the Immigrant Mom Culture School. And we're inviting anybody who is fluent in their dialect and ready to teach. Say you're fluent in Nyangi. I don't know what
Yes.
the language is called.
Kenya. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, let's say you are fluent in that and you want to start a class. Come on to the Immigrant Mom. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
advertise your class. You're going to teach it on our platform. We'll tell other parents who are from that same, you know, tribe, send your children. We have a story night, or, you know, storytelling, where your
Right.
children will learn something like they were in the village with their grandma, a
Right.
story about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, from another African country, if you're fluent in
Swahili.
Swahili, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So the long-term goal about our culture school is to have a summer camp. You don't have to send
Okay.
your children over to another summer camp that, you know, or if you're looking for how to get them engaged. We
Mm-hmm.
would have a summer camp where we'd have the languages, the stories, the drama, the things
Right.
that when they come from, they'll be like, oh, I learned something about where mom and dad are from, and
Mm-hmm.
cherish it and have
Right.
that sense of pride. The kids
Exactly.
need that sense of
They
pride
do. They do.
to be able to foster their identity. So when they go to school and they're talking about how their food smells a certain way, they can talk about their food with a sense of pride and
Exactly.
not feel inferior.
No. No. Because that's what you said there is what I actually spend some of my time actually teaching. Like I'm teaching French, and I talk about the fact that okay, when you say French, there's a whole francophonie, not just France. There's a whole bunch of countries that are former colonies, French colonies, and that we have our own languages and everything. Even if the official language is going to be English or French, we have our own. So and help them. There's nothing like that sense of pride, that sense of self,
Yes.
which is what you see sometimes missing in our precious African American uh, cousins.
Right.
Those roots that they themselves are searching for. I'm like, they are searching for the roots, and then we ourselves who come from there are saying no, and not sounding even anything like what you listen to them. And so the kids, so there's you don't understand that you're not, it's not a cool thing to
Yes.
come and let them get completely Americanized. It's a good thing for them to know where it is that they come from, take
Right.
pride in the culture, know certain things, certain foods, and things like that. the kids sometimes ask me, Mom, like the soccer games are going on now. That's an African name. Can you tell where this person is from? And then I'll be telling them that's where somebody is likely to be from East Africa or from South Africa. Or from these are the things that I know instinctively.
Right.
Growing up there. Or they say this person is from Cameroon. What's his name? Mbappe. I'm like, okay, that's somebody who's likely to be from either Douala or Bakweri. I can tell you told me your last name. I can tell it will just go right over their heads.
Yeah.
If they don't know anything. So sometimes we try to take them to places where this is being done. Some communities, some cities have their cultural associations there,
right,
but it's mostly for adults.
Right.
Because the adults there let the kids just sit in the little corner and just enjoy the food and then watch what the adults are doing, playing in Jangi, but they're not really learning at their own level what to do there. So that's a good segment, a good part of this whole thing. So they keep their identity. Sometimes I don't know mine either. I can understand a good amount of it when I hear it spoken. I can't speak it either. So if my children were going to learn, or grandchildren were going to learn, I may even be the one learning from them too. learning actually how to speak from them. So that's that's really, really good. I hope everybody has heard and would do something about it. Don't say you don't have any resource, you don't know what to do, you're at a loss. How do I find my way in this city or this town? Reach out. If you're not on Facebook, then go online. That's the one that it says that has Brave Woman first, before the Immigrant Mom. The Facebook is just the Immigrant Mom, and go check it out, see what it's about, and go in there and be able to give your own experiences. And you may have an issue in your own state or your own community that is not common to everybody else. You can always research that and look into it. And I'm keep telling people, see, don't just keep saying down at technology and down assistance. So you can't be doing that. You need to go and Google. Go and Google. Almost everything that you need to learn how to do is sitting there on YouTube somewhere.
Absolutely.
That is a resource you can at least start with when you are just stuck. When we got here, there wasn't all of that stuff to do. So I'm sitting there and my son comes and says, they said circle everything that begins with a J. I'm looking at this thing. It's a little toy thing. What is that? He says he doesn't know. I actually don't know. I have to go back to the teacher and say, what are these things called? She says, oh, those are jacks. They use them to. I hadn't seen the things before. So I'm like, okay, jacks. It starts with a J. Circle it. You see, I didn't know. I'm not a dumb person. I just don't know nothing. If you had shown me the little round marble that we used to use to play there, I know what that is.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there looking at my sister. Do you know what that is? He says, no, Mom, I don't know what it is. Ask his sister. She doesn't know. So those things, we need to get with the program to a little bit and stop saying things like, because I see people that say that, I don't know me that with my technology. You have no choice but to try to know a little bit of it. And then, because also, as the kids grow, you don't want them into things that you yourself don't get. Because that is how they start to do certain things, which I'm saying, Snoopy Mom, you need to snoop. You do. You need to, I'm sorry, you need to snoop.
Yes.
I'm not saying just go and invade the entire child and forever be there. I mean, like that. But you cannot not say, hey, they said they want their privacy. That's how we do in this country. No.
Right.
You do need to kind of get on there and figure out all of these emojis and things that are being done there, little slang and stuff, because they could just it could go right over your head, and before you know it, you're clueless about what's going on in the little world. So thank you so much for being on the show. So I know that it's a sacrifice for you to I don't know whether precious baby has had to hide all this time. Maybe she's with her dad. I know to juggle that. I just feel tired on your behalf. I think about all that you have to do and to make it work and work successfully. I applaud you all. Tell the other immigrant moms, I hope I'll be seeing them one of these days to share the little bit I know and have them ask me questions about what they need. And if I cannot figure it out, I should be able to ask somebody who can bring them that information.
Sure. Thank you. We'll chat offline because hopefully we can get you on Thursday and we can make it happen.
I'll be willing to talk. We'll chat.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much. All right then.